As the tides of World War II engulfed the world, one of its lesser-known consequences unfolded in the vast deserts of Arizona. Amidst the parched landscapes near Maricopa, thousands of Japanese Americans were uprooted from their homes and placed behind barbed wire due to ethnically driven wartime policies. This is the story of the Gila River War Relocation Center, one of the most significant internment camps in the United States during the Second World War. The roots of the internment policy can be traced back to December 7, 1941. Japan's surprise attack on Pearl Harbor precipitated America's entry into the war, but it also heightened existing prejudices against Japanese Americans. In February 1942, President Franklin Roosevelt, under political and societal pressures, signed Executive Order 9066, which allowed for the forced relocation of anyone deemed a potential threat to the nation's wartime efforts. This broad order would affect over 120,000 people of Japanese ancestry, regardless of their citizenship status. Though internment camps sprang up across several states, Arizona was home to two major centers, the Post-War Relocation Center and the Gila River War Relocation Center. The latter, located close to Maricopa, would come to play a pivotal role in the narrative of Japanese-American internment. Situated on the Gila River Indian Reservation near Rivers, Arizona, the camp's proximity to Maricopa made it accessible yet isolated enough to ensure its detainees wouldn't easily escape. The Gila River Camp was among the largest, housing over 13,000 Japanese Americans at its peak. Divided into two separate units, Canal Camp and Butte Camp, each had its unique facilities, ranging from schools and churches to medical centers and recreational areas. While the term relocation center might evoke images of temporary housing, the reality was far grimmer. Families were crammed into small apartments, often with no privacy. Despite the desert's scorching heat, there was no air conditioning, and dust storms frequently plagued the residents. Barbed wire fences and watchtowers with armed guards ensured no one left without permission. However, among all the internment camps, Gila River was considered slightly more humane. Its climate was less harsh than some other camps, and there was an attempt, however minimal, to make life more tolerable. Residents tried to cultivate a semblance of normalcy, establishing schools for children, engaging in art and craft, and even setting up baseball games, the quintessential American pastime. The spirit of the incarcerated Japanese Americans was indomitable. While some resisted the unfair treatment by staging protests or strikes, others found solace in community building. Gardens were cultivated, newspapers were published, and traditional Japanese festivals were celebrated to keep their heritage alive. The Gila River War Relocation Center closed its doors in 1945 as World War II reached its conclusion. With its closure, a haunting chapter in American history came to an end, but the scars remained. Many of those interned at Gila River returned to find their homes and businesses taken over or vandalized. Starting from scratch was a common narrative for countless families. It took decades for the United States to acknowledge the injustices committed during this period. In 1988, a significant step towards redemption was taken when President Ronald Reagan signed the Civil Liberties Act. The act formally apologized to Japanese Americans for the wrongful internment and approved reparations for survivors. While this gesture was symbolic of the nation's remorse, it could hardly compensate for the lost years and emotional trauma. Today, the site of the Gila River War Relocation Center stands as a poignant reminder of the fragility of civil rights during times of crisis. While the physical structures have mostly been reclaimed by the desert, the memories remain, echoing tales of endurance and resilience. As the world vows never again to such injustices, the stories from the deserts near Maricopa serve as both a warning and an inspiration, reminding us of the human spirit's ability to persevere even in the darkest of times. And what is your opinion about these events? Please share it in the comments.